It is March 21st, 2026, Saturday, and we're hanging out in downtown Houston, and we're going to go over a criminal case today, and it's going to be a cautionary tale, and it's going to, I believe, it highlights why the beta male provider, parenting, providing protection, being that guy, is not the way to go. The plow horse guy, the utility guy. I mean, that you might get a girl like that, but how you get a girl is important, or who you are to that girl is important. Because a lot of times we want to argue, well, if you have money and status, you can get a girl. They get girls, right? Whatever. Yeah, they might, but how do they? How are they perceived by that person? What kind of relationship are you going to have with that person? As opposed to if you're alpha seed guy that has the mindset, that has the strong, assertive, dominant, knowing who he is, stands on his business, has his standards, has an identity. That guy is going to have a girl who, or he's going to identify. He'll have a girl that will come at him. She'll want him sexually. She'll want him. Do just for his presence. He doesn't have to provide anything other than himself, because he makes her feel a certain way, and girls love that. When she talks to him, she gets aroused. When he has sex with her, she's initiating sex with him. He's not in a sexless marriage. So anyway, that's what I'm talking about. That's why I say it matters who you are, and this is a cautionary tale. And I think criminal cases are a great way to display these things. They really show in an exaggerated manner why you want to be one and not the other. So this case today is the Douglas and Ashley Benefield case, and this was a case called the Black Swan case, and she was a ballet dancer, and the Black Swan's like a ballet thing, and so a black swan is a swan that is actually black underneath, but it has on the outside appearance it's white, and you can't see it. It's darkness underneath. So, and that's a good description for this Ashley girl. So, Doug Benefield, he's like a defense and IT like consultant. He a pretty good like corporate job or something. He was upper middle class, and he met her when he went to a Trump's first term, a Trump event or something like that in Sarasota, Florida. He met Ashley because she worked for Trump's campaign, just in a minor role, I think, and she was very pretty. I mean, very pretty. And she was a ballerina, so she had, an excellent physique. She was also a bikini model, and she was also just a regular model. And so Doug was 54 and she was 24. And so they hit it off, apparently, surprise, Doug hit it off with a 24-year-old hottie, So anyway, so he hits it off with her. And I mean, like I said, whatever happens there, we don't know. Doug was very religious. And so Doug apparently leaves that event and comes back to, he lived in Charleston, South Carolina. So he comes back to Charleston, South Carolina. And after 13 days, I mean, they're sending back texts back and forth. They followed Doug. I think Doug fell in love. But she's sending, and it was a female attorney, his civil attorney. She said, she was sending him pictures and, trying to get him, sold on who she was. Well, the pictures, and they show a couple of them, and they are racy. I mean, they are racy. Saying, hey, Doug, love you, babe, after 13 days. And the banging body, I mean, 24, he's 54. It ain't a no-brainer. He's, but again, that is dangerous because, you have to still stand on who you are and hold your identity. Even if it doesn't matter how good they look, you still need, because you're a man. You might be, want to be swayed, but you don't. You don't bend. You are who you are, right? So, he needs to still stand on business, and he didn't, and that's the problem. That's what gets him in trouble. He doesn't, because if you stand on business, you lead her. But in this case, she was leading him. And when that happens, what's the term? When a woman's leading you, she'll lead you to your death or jail, whatever. And that's true. And it happens in this case. So, after 13 days, they decide they want to get married. And partially because she's so hot, and that because Doug was severely religious, they think that he was waiting to become intimate with her after they got married. So he was very religious. So they think that's part of the reason he rushed in. I don't know. If I was a betting man, I say he already did get intimate, and he was just on paper trying to make it. I don't know. I'm trying to, but and he was trying to lock her down. I mean, dude, if you look, the hotter the chick is, the quicker men tend to lock her down. It is what it is. So surprise, right? So and she knew how to use her sexuality to get what she wants, and because she had that asset, she could use it, and a lot of women try to. Some don't have as much asset as she does, right? But anyway, so she got what she wanted. So they get married, and so I guess she moved to Charleston, South Carolina, and since she's a ballerina, they decide to start a ballerina company. I think it was American National Ballerina Company, AMB, and they do tryouts, I guess, for ballerinas. I don't know exactly how that works, but anyway, so and they are putting out to the community, the ballerina community, that this is going to be, because Ashley was kind of popular in the community, I guess, this is going to be, knock your socks off ballerina stuff. And so those kind of things, those loud motorcycles are around here. Yeah, God, that's one of the bad things about living downtown are those fools. Anyway, all right. So, but yeah, y'all are down here all the time, dude. Anyway, so they start this. She tells Doug, and who puts the money in for this? Doug. But instead of leading it, he's letting Ashley. I want to start a ballerina company. He needs to do the numbers and how this is going to work and how she needs to operate in this and whatever. But since he's not leading it, it falls apart on him. Ashley also wants to get pregnant during the time that they're starting this business, and she does. She gets pregnant. This is moving quick, right? And so the ballerina, the ballerina company's, just getting off its feet, and apparently Ashley decides, what? She's having a hard pregnancy, whatever, allegedly, and she moves back to Florida to live with her mom. And so now Doug is stuck with this ballerina thing that she started, and I don't know how much money he's dumped in it so far, but he's trying to make it work, and it's not working very well. He knows nothing about the business, and a lot of the ballerinas were there because of Ashley, and now she's like, yeah, I'll be back. They all thought she was coming back. She doesn't come back. She's like, I'm not. She basically gonna have the baby, and in addition to that, she's not coming back for Doug either, and he's heartbroken at this. And he starts sending her text messages, which you never do this. He's begging her. You never do that. You never beg. He's been an accomplished gentleman. He has another daughter. And he's raised her well, And so, you don't need to beg for, if you have to beg, she doesn't like you enough. So he's begging for her back. And I guarantee that it didn't work. And she's losing, I don't know if you can, but she's losing even more respect if she had any, and she's becoming disgusted. Like I always say, she's becoming disgusted with who you are. And so, after he begs for her back, but she had already lost respect, because when she was here living with him, and I guess they were married, she had, I guess they were stressed in the house, and Doug had gotten so angry because probably he didn't have control over her, over a situation. And I've been there, I won't ever be there again, but when you don't lead stuff and you feel like things are out of control, it'll come out in a burst of just anger and frustration, and that's dangerous. You don't want to be there. So Doug, all his friends, great guy, mild-mannered, super duper guy. Well, and he says he regrets it every day. He was apologetic. He fired a shot into the ceiling. He was just mad, and he made a mistake. And so, well, of course, Ashley's gonna, work that up she didn't let that go, and she used that. Oh, he fired a gun. Oh my God, So anyway, and then while Ashley's down there in Florida and separated from Doug, he's begging to get her back. Ashley and her mom come lay some divorce papers on Doug, and he's like, what? And not only does she do that, she reports Doug to the police, saying, what did I always say? What do women do? He's an abuser. And she brings up the gun deal, and she also alleges that he's a danger to his daughter, and notifies Child Protective Services in South Carolina from Florida. And they go check, and her daughter loves her dad so much. She is so in love with her father, as she should be. And he's not a bad dude. She talks through the show. She, even through his death, she loves him so much. So Doug was a great dad and a great guy. We're not going to let this fool of a woman, tarnish his legacy. But she reports to the CPS. They go out and check it out, and his daughter Eva has to say, yeah, I'm good. I'm good. And unfortunately, Doug was a widow. Is that the right word? Widower, whatever. His wife had died 9 months prior to him meeting Ashley, and so he was dealing with that. And so Ashley then again ramps up another attack on Doug, and she says that it was natural causes. She had a heart attack. She had a 75% blockage in her artery, but she alleges, she starts making allegations to Doug's daughter that Doug did it. Doug gave her maybe some bad drugs or something. I mean, can you believe that? She's alleging that, And so at this point, you've got to know that you are not wanted, you are not respected, you are not liked. Although he provided her a child, he was providing her a house when she lived here, and she basically attacked him, hunted him down because she knew who he was. She knew he was a beta male provider, and they hunt you like a predator. So you can't be that dude. So anyway, and Eva's like, Ashley's mom is also trying to convince Doug's daughter that, the mom didn't die of natural causes, Doug did it, but, she doesn't believe it. So that's good. But then now she also thinks that Doug is poisoning her. And he buys her this, I guess they're both like tea drinkers. I'm not a tea drinker, but they're both tea drinkers. And he buys her this nice tea set, and this, I think it was a tea for pregnancy. And so he buys her a tea for pregnancy, and, doing a thoughtful thing and everything, like a beta male does. And she gets it, and she claims that this is poison, because she opens it, it smells like chemicals, and she got a headache when she opened the box, and she takes it to the police station. And they test it, and guess what it came out as? Arsenic. No, it came out as tea. So, but a girl like her, who I think she's borderline personality disorder, but still, they'll wreak havoc on a beta male. And so, like I say, but I don't think they think through it, totally, because it's like, they're going to test it, lady, You're little throwing, stuff and seeing what, she's basically throwing crap at the wall and seeing what sticks, and that just ain't gonna work. It ain't gonna work. So, so then, she then goes, because she's being poisoned, she goes to the hospital to have her baby, and she doesn't tell Doug, and she doesn't put Doug's name on the birth certificate. And she tells the hospital that she's possibly being poisoned and abused by Doug, and they put her under an assumed name. And so Doug doesn't get to be present for his daughter's birth. And he's kind of, set back by this. So Doug then gets a lawyer and wants custody of his daughter. And so they go through a case, and she tries to make a case that, and the judge literally says, you provided no evidence that he's poisoning you. Zero. Zero evidence, even though she tried as hard as she could to tarnish his reputation. So he wins custody of custody of the daughter, writes to see her, and he goes and gets, and all of a sudden she's different. She's, he gets to see the baby. So, then now he's out, seeing the baby or whatever, and they decide at this point that they're going to renew their vows, and they're going to renew their vows, and which is dumb for Doug, because look at everything she's done. Everything she's done to this point is total disrespect. It's total disrespect. I mean, she doesn't give two F's about him, and when that happens, it's dangerous. It's very, very dangerous when you have a woman like that. She's willing to do anything. I mean, she's already tried to get you 6 ways from Sunday in trouble. This girl does not like you, but he, for whatever reason, and a lot of times it's because, he doesn't value himself enough, and he's pedestalizing her beauty, and men, and I hate to say the word real men, but it's true. A man, part of being a man is standing, I always say I've been standing on your square, being unbendable. Like, your beauty, yes, we love their beauty, but you ain't gonna bend me. You ain't gonna bend me. No matter what, I stand firm, and when women see this, when they see you bending like Gumby, they hate it. They freaking hate it. Because what happens when the big bad wolf comes calling at night to get your kids, and you got to stand on business? But you're Gumby to this little 5'2" nobody, because she's pretty. And don't get me wrong, it's a powerful thing. Being a pretty woman's a powerful thing, but also discipline and willpower is a powerful thing in a man, right? So anyway, and that's why beta males are hated, because they'll bend. They think they have to bend. I gotta bend, and oftentimes they do have to bend because, they always say this: you need to check her. You need to check that girl. Get respect from that girl. Well, the reason that doesn't happen, and the reason that's bad advice sometimes, is because you can't check a chick that don't like you. You cannot check a chick that doesn't respect you, because if you do that, she'll tell you to go screw off. So how can you check a chick like that? Hey, don't say that to me, girl. She'll be like, whatever. But a guy can't. It is the right advice to, I'll say, alpha seed. It's the right advice to him, because she'll mind. She'll go, oh, shoot, sorry, daddy. I'm sorry. But only certain people can do that to her. That's why most married dudes don't check the girl. They do death by 1,000 concessions because the guy's nice. No, because the guy can't. You got to realize this. And if you're that guy, then stop being that guy, and go find another chick that respects you, Anyway, so let's get back to, I digress. Let's get back to the Ashley Benefield, Doug. Okay, so are we into enough craziness? So, Doug thinks he's going to renew his vows. He wins custody. So now he thinks that they're going to get back together. And so he goes and buys an apartment in Florida. And he lives down the street from her or whatever, I guess. And some of the timeline they didn't describe real well. So, it's kind of hard. But anyway, so we're now at the part of their relationship where he's now moved there, and they're going to try to do this together, and work on the relationship, and they're back together. That's my girlfriend again, or my wife. They're still married, I think. That's my wife, yay, And well, he gets thanks for this because I think she's moving out of her house, because that's what it was. She's got a U-Haul and everything, and Doug's helping her move out of her house. Well, let me back up just one real quick. Well, at one point, Doug is meeting up with her. They're exchanging the child. It's Doug's turn to get the child. and he sees what he thinks to be, and this is what I say, once again this comes up, he thinks he sees an engagement ring on her finger. And what's he do? Snoops. He goes and hires a private investigator. I tell you, if you think you saw an engagement ring, you saw an engagement ring. Okay? Move on. He knows what he saw. Why do you think he hired a private investigator? Why do you think he spent the money? You know? Anyway, so the private investigator comes back to him and says, yep, she's got a dude here. She's seeing somebody, buddy. And so then that's when he wants to file a divorce. And, you know, I guess he goes through with that. But then she tries to, you know, so that happens or whatever. I don't know if they ever officially got divorced, but in the meantime, she's moving out of her house, and Doug's helping her move out of her house, and she's got a U-Haul, and they're carrying boxes out or whatever. Well, apparently, in this moving out, Doug threatened Ashley so bad that she had to go to her room and get a Springfield Armory semi-automatic pistol and shoot him 3 times because he was, you know, he was an assault suspect. You know, I mean, because big abuser. What do I say? What did I say? Anyway, Doug gets hit twice in the leg and once in the arm. The one that goes in the arm goes through the arm into his lung and into his chest cavity, which makes him bleed out and die within an hour. So Doug died. Ashley killed him and says that she did it in self-defense. She runs over to the neighbor. Help, I got attacked. Once again, crying. Women use crying often to get sympathy. Men are very, crying from women is very impactful for men. You know, it is. When I hear, I'm like, oh God, you know, because for men, most men, it takes a lot for us to cry, you know. So we think that's a big deal. Well, women can cry at the drop of a hat. But anyway, they use it. So she's crying, oh, hey, my husband attacked me. They call 911, and the neighbor's like, she just got attacked, and she had to shoot her gun at the guy and kill him. You know, so she's got this first narrative out there, which is important, but they end up charging her with second-degree murder. She gets charged with second-degree murder. She goes to trial. Ends up, and you watch her on the stand. I mean, you can see performative, lying. I mean, on cross-examination, she testified. On cross-examination, she gets lit up. You know, Doug didn't recognize how much he was hated. Like I say, the other guys, he didn't realize how much he was disrespected. He didn't realize how much he was disliked, and he didn't realize that, you know, he needs to be the alpha seed and not this beta need guy. And, you know, he needs to understand his value. He needs to he should have had an identity. He should have stood on business. And I say that to say to any man out there is, if you're letting her lead the situation, if you're letting her do this kind of stuff to you, and you're sticking around, you might meet your own demise. And this is not, I'm not saying this as hyperbolic. This can happen. Maybe not in this degree, but, you know, so many men have been ruined by women, and it's not the woman's fault. It's their fault. It's your job to understand the game, understand what's going on, and understand this stuff, and not attack women for doing this stuff, because we've been on, especially now, we've been put on notice, you know. So anyway, and that's what I'm doing here, putting everyone on notice. Anyway, so but she gets charged. She gets convicted of manslaughter. At the time of the documentary, they didn't have the sentencing in yet, but the state was going to ask for 30 years, the maximum. I don't know if they're going to get it. I have to look it up. But, you know, obviously, you can Google it. But I'm sure she got double-digit amount of time. So anyway, that's the Douglas Benefield and Ashley Benefield case, the Black Swan. It's a great case, and another cautionary tale on an accomplished man, a man with money and means, a man that can provide, a man that can protect, you know, and a man that did parent both her child and his child, right? And for all that, he was thanked with 2 bullets to the leg and 1 to the arm. That was the thanks he got, you know. And so there you go. Hopefully you learn a lesson from that and learn to be the alpha seed, not the beta male provider. All right, there you go.